Why did Jamsetji Tata build the Taj? 1990s. Ratan Tata was the chairman of the Tata Group, and he said, I want to give India its first indigenous car. People were skeptical. They said, India अपना कार नहीं बना सकता. जमशेदजी टाटा केवल टाटा ग्रुप के फाउंडर ही नहीं थे. He was the founder of modern industrial India. Nation building through industry has been the core reason why the Tata Group has existed and continues to exist. Lord Curzon, जो वाइसरॉय थे तब के ब्रिटिश के, he resisted Jamsetji Tata. Remember, all this was being done when the British were ruling us and they were not necessarily supporting us. Lord Curzon said, teachers कहाँ से आएंगे, students कहाँ से आएंगे, कौन फीस देगा यूनिवर्सिटी का? That doesn't stop him. He went ahead. Jamsetji Tata said, I will give this city such a resplendent building that it's the best hotel in the world. People will want to come here and stay here. That is why he put up the Taj Mahal Hotel in Bombay. The welfare of our employees and the community is the best foundation for a prosperous tomorrow. On October 9th last year, when Ratan Tata passed away, it is not just that people in the Tata Group felt sad. I would think every Indian felt sad. The whole country felt sad. One of the things that he would always tell all of us and the people who worked with him is, treat people with dignity. Never hurt another person's self-respect. I have been working with the Tata Group for 38 years now. I say there are two marriages in my life. One is to my wife and one is to the Tata Group.
Thank you very much, sir. It's truly my honor to be talking to you today. And so, firstly, I want to ask you, for somebody who's spent nearly 4 decades at the Tata Group, for somebody who's launched products that are part of our daily lives like Tata Tea, to have those experiences, to be a part of a group that's not seen as a business, that's one of the only ones that are not seen as a business but are seen as a part of the India story. What have been the most priceless stories that are currently that you've spoken about in this book and that you think every young reader should know about?
So, firstly, thanks to all of you for coming here, and I want to thank the organizers of Bharat Literature Festival, Dipaliji, to you, and to everyone who has helped organize this for the launch of the Hindi edition of this book. इस पुस्तक में बहुत सारी कहानियाँ हैं, which are very, very moving stories. But let me give you one story which stands out in my mind. Jamsetji Tata केवल टाटा ग्रुप के फाउंडर ही नहीं थे. He was the founder of modern industrial India. उनका पहला बिजनेस जो उन्होंने एस्टैब्लिश किया था इंडिया में, it was called the Empress Mills. It was a textile mill in नागपुर. और उस ज़माने का, मैं अभी 1860s, 1870s, 1880s की बात कर रहा हूँ, 120, 130 years back, it became one of the most profitable units of its kind in the country. 20 साल के अंदर shareholders को dividend, returns सब बहुत मिल गए थे. And he made it profitable by using the best quality of cotton, Priyanshi. He made it profitable by also ensuring that he used the best technology, which was not even being used in the UK at that time. But that is not the reason why I'm narrating this story. What he did in that mills was exemplary and unprecedented. 1880s में, 1880s मतलब अब से 130 या 140 साल पहले, he introduced accident insurance for the workers of that mill. Workers नागपुर के आसपास से आते थे, uneducated and semi-educated women. He introduced that. 1890s, he introduced in that mill the concept of a pension scheme for the first time. In workers who had completed so many years of work, they will be given a pension after retirement. In 1901, for the first time in India, Jamsetji Tata introduced in the Empress Mills at Nagpur a concept which all of us have. When you start working, or if you're already working, you will see on your salary slip every month, for the first time in India, the concept of Provident Fund. And people came, by 1921, Empress Mills had a creche for the children of working women of the mill. Abhi se more than 100 years back, people came to Jamsetji Tata and asked him, Sir, why are you wasting so much money on worker welfare? ये तो पैसा आपके shareholders का है, आप worker welfare में इतना पैसा क्यों खर्च कर रहे हैं? And Jamsetji Tata turned to them and he said, don't think we are more generous than other people or more philanthropic. We started our business on very good, sound business principles. We know our wealth belongs to our shareholders, but we also think the welfare of our employees and the community is the best foundation for a prosperous tomorrow. This is what Jamsetji Tata said. And that to me is a very inspiring story, because that is the entire foundation on which the Tata Group has been built.
And isn't that one of the most important things that sets the group apart from all others? Because hear me out. There's one story, एक ऐसी story है जो हम सब ने कई बार सुनी होगी कि जब 26/11 के attacks हुए थे, ताज होटल पर attack हुआ था. जो होटल का स्टाफ वहाँ पर था, उन्होंने अपनी लाइफ की परवाह ना करते हुए पहले उनके गेस्ट को बचाने की कोशिश की थी. उस तरह की ओनरशिप अपनी कंपनी के लिए देखना, कि उन्होंने उस होटल को अपने ऑफिस की तरह नहीं देखा, पर उन गेस्ट को अपने घर के गेस्ट की तरह समझकर उनकी प्रोटेक्शन, उनकी सेफ्टी को पहले रखा, जो हम किसी कंपनी के एम्प्लॉयज़ में बहुत रेयरली देखेंगे. तो क्या ये जो माइंडसेट है पीपल फर्स्ट का, जो जमशेदजी टाटा के टाइम से चला आ रहा है, उसकी वजह से आज तक भी एम्प्लॉयज़ में नेचुरली ये ओनरशिप फीलिंग है जो आज हमने इतनी बात की है? यू डोंट हैव टू ट्रेन एम्प्लॉयज़ टू फील दैट वे. Does that come naturally, or is there some training जिससे टाटा एम्प्लॉयज़ ऐसे बनते हैं?
So, you know, a lot of it owes to the work that Jamsetji Tata did as our founder. Take all the industries that Tatas have set up over the last 150 years. What Tata companies what names come to your mind? Please shout out some names. TCS, Steel, Tanishq, Tata Motors. Okay, so many names are coming, okay? Let's take some of these names. Let me take Tata Steel. Why did Jamsetji Tata start Tata Steel? Because he wanted to give India its first integrated steel plant. उस ज़माने में जब ब्रिटिश रूल करते थे इंडिया में, we used to import all our steel from Europe and England. And Jamsetji Tata said, we need steel for our bridges, we need steel for our buildings, we need steel for our roads. Why should we import all our steel from Europe and England? Let me try my best to give India its first integrated steel plant. उनके पास टेक्नोलॉजी नहीं थी स्टील बनाने की. He went to the US and got the best technologist from the US, Charles Perrin, to India, convinced him to come here, and then put up Tata Steel in what is called Jamshedpur today. पहले साक्षी था उसका नाम. Because he wanted India to have its first steel plant. Why did Jamsetji Tata put up the Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore? Because he said India should have a university of higher education in science. Science और technology में यदि progress नहीं होगा तो भारत की उन्नति will not be as easy to achieve. That is why he spoke to Swami Vivekanand. He was inspired by him. He donated half his wealth to putting up a university of science in India. Lord Curzon, जो वाइसरॉय थे तब के ब्रिटिश के, he resisted Jamsetji Tata. Remember, all this was being done when the British were ruling us and they were not necessarily supporting us. Lord Curzon said, teachers कहाँ से आएंगे, students कहाँ से आएंगे, कौन फीस देगा यूनिवर्सिटी का? That doesn't stop him. He went ahead and he put up the Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore, donating half his wealth to it. It is actually called his third son. And until today, the Indian Institute of Science is the highest ranked science university in the country and within the top 100 in the world. Now, Jamsetji Tata was 100 years back, 120 years back. Look at what JRD Tata did in 1930. He said this country should have its own airline. Airline ke bina hum progress nahi kar sakte. Again, the government did not support him. It was the British government at that time. He said, I will take the risk, and he started Tata Airlines, which later became Air India, because he thought the country should have its airline. 1950s, the Tatas get into making trucks and commercial vehicles. Why? Because in a vast country like India, trucks and logistics are very important. आपने TCS का नाम बताया. 1960s में, 1968, 1969, well before the IT revolution comes to the country, JRD Tata and FC Kohli found TCS as a IT services company, which then becomes a benchmark in the Indian sector. Why? Because they saw that computers were so important for the country. 1990s, Ratan Tata was the chairman of the Tata Group, and he said, I want to give India its first indigenous car, designed in India, made out of Indian parts, made for Indian families, made for Indian roads. People were skeptical. They said, India apna car nahi bana sakta. At that time, Maruti and Hyundai were being made in India, but one was a Japanese car, one was a Korean car. He said, no, we should give it an Indian car. Even if people were skeptical, he went ahead with Tata Motors and he gave India the Tata Indica, which was India's first indigenous car. When the Tata Indica first came out in 1998, 97% of all the parts in the car were Indian. Okay? Look at it today. I am now taking you over 150 years of quick journey in 3 minutes, but look at it today. When our current chairman of Tata Sons, Mr. Chandrasekaran, has announced a large investment in semiconductors. Why are we investing in semiconductors? One, because it's a big business opportunity, but most importantly, semiconductors are very important for the country in the future. Everything we use today, from a mobile phone to a washing machine to television to everything uses semiconductors, and India cannot fall back in the race. That is why there is an investment in semiconductors today. So the common thread, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, is whatever the Tata Group has done. Of course, we believe we are very good business people. We have invested in good business opportunities, but also invested in industries which are very important to this nation. Nation building through industry has been the core reason why the Tata Group has existed and continues to exist. Priyanshi spoke about the Taj and the employees of the Taj and their heroic acts on 26/11. Why did Jamsetji Tata build the Taj? Do you know this? Because in the 1890s, Bombay had the bubonic plague. It was much worse than the pandemic we had 2 years back. Millions of people had run out of Mumbai. People had died. This was the financial capital of India, Mumbai. It was down on its knees. People were not coming to the city. And Jamsetji Tata said, I will give this city such a resplendent building that it's the best hotel in the world. People will want to come here and stay here. That is why he put up the Taj Mahal Hotel in Bombay and gave it one of the first buildings to be lit by electricity, with foreign lifts, with Turkish baths. He put up an ice factory there so that you can blow air over the ice, and air-conditioned rooms. This was before air conditioning had ever come into the world. It was done for the city of Mumbai. People actually called it Jamsetji's white elephant, saying it will lose money. Today it is one of the most prosperous hotels in the world and the strongest hotel brand in the world today, across everything. So this nation building thread which is running across the Tata Group, I think gives all of us in the Tata Group a purpose. But at the end of the day, I know that because we are owned by the Tata Charitable Trust, 66% of the Tata Group's holding company, Tata Sons, is owned by the Tata Charitable Trust. We are not owned by a wealthy family or by PE funds or by, the majority ownership is with the charitable trust. I know that 66% of the profits made eventually through dividends will go to the Tata Charitable Trust. And what are they using the money for? They're using the money to put up cancer hospitals, to put up TIFR, Tata Institute of Social Studies, the Tata Memorial Hospital, about 12 or 13 cancer hospitals coming up in various parts of the country, nutrition. So finally, you feel you're doing something good for the country, and that keeps us very motivated. I think that is the reason you see spirit like this across all Tata companies. So, Mr. Ratan Tata's financial ownership of the Tata Group was minuscule.
yes.
But his emotional ownership of the Tata Group was complete. He lived and worked for the Tata Group for 60 years in his life. He joined the Tata Group in 1962 as a young person who had finished his college in the US and came. And he passed away last year in 2024. So 2024 minus 1962 will be 62 years. Those 62 years he spent with the Tata Group, emotionally fully invested. Not only in the Tata Group, but I would say in India. Because on October 9th last year, when Ratan Tata passed away, it is not just that people in the Tata Group felt sad. I would think every Indian felt sad. Yes. The whole country felt sad. So many people have told me, we felt a sense of personal loss. Why? Because there was something about him which appealed to each of us.
Yeah. And while we're talking about Mr. Ratan Tata, I can't not ask you to share some of those experiences that you've had over your interactions with him, multiple interactions, some memories that you can't forget.
Yeah. So I have never directly reported to Mr. Ratan Tata except for a very brief period. But I have had many meetings with him. But I can tell you, a couple of things about him which always stood out. The first thing that was important to him was he was always very graceful, very courteous. One of the things that he would always tell all of us and the people who worked with him is, treat people with dignity. never hurt another person's self-respect. So he might have been chairman of the group. We might have been young managers in the group. I have seen him sit down in the Tata Management Training Center, have lunch with young managers. And when he walked away after that lunch, he would stand up, he would shake hands with each of them, thank them, and then walk away. Now that is behavior that is, it's very respectful behavior. And that is how he was built as a person. He would, people who would come, many of my colleagues who are today managing directors of companies, but earlier they were in more junior positions, they have told me about how they went home to meet Mr. Ratan Tata at his house, just to pay a courtesy visit. He would always come out to the door to see them off and wait there till the car drove away. Now you may say these are small things, but these are symbols of courtesy and respect, which is sometimes missing in today's society. Because we are so driven by business, so driven by transactions.
So driven by self.
So driven by self. But that is the kind of a person he was. And I think those are some, for instance, this is a story which has been narrated to me by Suhail Seth. Ratan Tata was once, he had to receive an award in London. And the award would be given to him by Prince Charles. That was the award he was going to receive. Prince Charles, who is today the king. So Suhail Seth had landed up in London, and then he receives a call from Mr. Ratan Tata saying, "I'm sorry, I cannot come to receive this award." And he says, "Why, sir? Prince Charles is giving out the award. Everything has been organized here." So Ratan Tata turns around and tells him over the telephone that, "Listen, one of my dogs has fallen unwell, and I cannot leave my dog in Bombay and come to receive an award in London. I'm going to stay here till the dog is taken care of and provided the required treatment." So his care and compassion, I'm talking about an animal here. He was very fond of dogs, and we even have a kennel for dogs in the Tata Group headquarters in Bombay House. Yeah. But care and compassion were part of his personality. And he was a business leader. He was heading India's largest industrial group, the Tata Group. But first and foremost, he was a human being. When these attacks in the Taj happened, the terror attacks that you referred to, I think the terrorists came into the Taj by about 9:30 or something on the evening of 26th. And Ratan Tata got the news soon thereafter. And I think by 10:30 or 10:45, late that evening, he came to outside the Taj. They did not let him go in because there were terrorists inside the hotel. But thereafter, for 2.5 days, he was there on the pavement outside the Taj, feeling helpless, but he wanted to be there in solidarity with the people within the Taj. Just as a mark of solidarity with the people who were inside. And later, I may not have the time today to narrate this in detail, but later he also set up the Taj Public Welfare Trust for Mumbai, which provided rehabilitation and help, not just to the employees of Taj, but everyone in Mumbai who had been impacted by those terror attacks. So care and compassion were a key part of Ratan Tata, the human being. He was the chairman of the Tata Group, but more importantly, I think he considered himself a good human being. I think that is the key lesson that comes out from his life.
So, fascinating story. And do you think just merely looking at leaders like these in your organization makes you the kind of staff that the Taj Hotel has? Or is there some specific training that the Tata Group does to make people how they are?
So I don't think, I don't think care and compassion can be taught in a training course. You observe your leaders and you try to do what your leaders are doing. I think it is, you cannot preach. I can sit here and talk for 5 hours about care and compassion. That will not make me caring and compassionate. But it is in actions that you see care and compassion. And then you start practicing it in your own life. Let me give you a story from my career. I don't know whether I have narrated it in this book, but in an earlier book I have. So, I have been working with the Tata Group for 38 years now. I say there are 2 marriages in my life. One is to my wife and one is to the Tata Group. And actually the marriage to the Tata Group was before the marriage to my wife. 1987 I joined the Tata Group, 1992 I got married. Okay, but let me tell you a story. One of my first bosses in the Tata Group was a gentleman called Harish Bhat. He was the chairman of Tata Tea, Tata Chemicals, Rallis India. He's the person who launched brands like Tata Tea and Tata Salt. Have you heard of Tata Salt? So he's the person who launched Tata Salt.
That's a very humbling question you've asked. Have you heard of Tata Salt?
Yeah. No, so I just wanted to place in context. So he was the chairman of the group. I had the opportunity to work with him for 1.5 years as his executive assistant. I used to be in the marketing and sales team of Tata Tea. Chai bechta tha. Yeah, 1.5 saal I also taken up as his EA in Bombay. So I went to Bombay. I served as his executive assistant. And then I came back to Bangalore to my job selling and marketing tea in Tata Tea. And 2 years later, my wife and I, we had our first child, our only child actually, daughter. 1995 May, my daughter was born. I wrote a letter to Mr. Darbari Seth. Sir, we have been blessed with our daughter and blessed with the daughter. I seek your blessings. And he wrote a letter back to me promptly. Harish, my blessings are with you. He sent a check, I think, for 501 or 1001 rupees or something. And I was very happy. I showed it to my wife. I showed it to my parents. And then I put it into my file. I said, Mr. Darbari Seth is the chairman of 4 or 5 companies of the group. Abhi, he knows that this has happened. The chapter is closed there. 3 months later, I was working in Tata Tea Bangalore in the Yashwantpur marketing office. Kuch Chakra Gold ya Gemini Tea, some marketing plan I was making. My wife was working in another company on Primrose Road in Bangalore. We were living in Jayanagar. And suddenly I get a call from a very senior official of Tata Coffee. He tells me on the phone, Mr. Darbari Seth is in Bangalore. He is returning from the plantations in Coorg to Bombay. He is here for a few hours. He wants to come to your house and see your daughter. So I call my wife. I say, listen, chairman is going to come home. Our living room is lying in tatters. Let us please go and put it in some order. So she rushes from her office. I come from my office. Exactly at 3 o'clock, Darbari Seth comes home. He's the chairman of the company, okay, dressed in a suit and all that. And we were and my parents are there. My daughter was there. He holds my baby daughter, speaks to her, gives her his blessings in person, speaks to my wife and me, speaks to my mother and father. And after half an hour, he leaves. Now, for a chairman of a company to do that, to brave the traffic on his way to the airport, to come to a deputy manager's house, see his baby daughter, spend time with her, to me, it was one of the high points. I've never forgotten it in my life as a mark of care and compassion. Many people who have worked with Darbari Seth, with Mr. Ratan Tata, with Mr. Krishna Kumar, they've narrated similar stories to me. I have forgotten in 1995 how much tea I sold. I have forgotten what bonus Tata Tea gave me, though it was very important to me at that time, but I have forgotten it now. But I will never forget that Darbari Seth came to my house and saw my daughter and spent time with my parents. Now that is care and compassion. So I learned that because of his action. And when he does that, I feel I also owe it to people who work with me to do similarly. That is what I meant, that training in matters like care and compassion are by action. They are not by sitting in a classroom where someone explains to you, itna care karo, itna compassion karo. That will not happen.
Right.
So this is what I wanted to narrate to you. This is how culture in the Tata Group has been built. And by this, I am not saying, Priyanshi, that the Tata Group is perfect. We also have our faults.
Yes.
There are things we have done well. There are things we have not done so well. I am not claiming that the Tatas are a perfect organization.
And there have been failures, like Tata Finance.
There have been failures. Tata Finance has been a failure, and many others, which I have narrated in the book also, the failures. So, but this is how culture is built. Culture is built by leaders who practice what they believe in. And what is amazing to me in the Tata Group is that this culture has been maintained not for 1 year or 10 years or 20 years, for 157 years now. The average age of a company, of a Fortune 500 company in the world is 40 years. Most companies fold up after 40 years. So for the Tata Group to have retained this for 150 years, how the Tata Group has done it? I think that is the subject we have tried to explain in this book. Yeah. How has this culture been maintained?
And it only takes such a culture of people first for employees like you to stick to an organization for most of their lives, for 4 decades, when people like me from our generation struggle to stick to a job for even a year. I think that is something that plays a big role in how much you want to give a company.
So I don't pass value judgments on that. Many of my friends have moved from one job to the other. They have also done very well in life. I have stuck with one organization, the Tata Group, and I believe I have also been fairly successful in what I have done. But I want to tell you why, since she's asking me this specific question. Let me tell you, and many of you are very young here, you're in your 20s, and you may want to decide whether to stick with one company, move from one company to the other, and very, very simple reasons why I have stayed with the Tata Group. First, they have given me interesting work to do. I am a marketer. I have been able to market brands of tea like Tata Tea, Chakra Gold Tea. I have been able to market Tanishq, which is jewelry, Titan, Fast Track, Sonata, which is watches. My last assignment was as the brand custodian for the Tata brand.
Right.
So very interesting work to do across these years. I have been the CEO of two businesses, MD of a company, and so forth.
Right.
But that is not the only reason. The second reason is care and compassion. I have seen the Tata Group take care of their people very well, including take care of me when I had some very difficult occasions in my life.
Yeah.
And that's the second reason I've stayed with them. The
Fair.
third reason, ladies and gentlemen, is very important. 38 years I have worked with the Tata Group, 1987 to 2025. Not once in these 38 years has the Tata Group asked me to do anything which is against my conscience. And that is very important because I can sleep well at night. And I can tell you, good night's sleep is much more valuable than the
any
next
amount of
amount of money that the company will give you. And the fourth is the reason that I already told you earlier, which is that you know that the money that you're earning for the company, I am an employee of the company, I earn money for the company pays me a salary, pays me a bonus, etc. But you know that 66% of the profits of Tata Sons through dividends go to the Tata Charitable Trust, and eventually they're used to do some good for the community, you know, putting
Right.
up an educational institution, putting up a hospital,
Right.
nutrition programs, etc. So it's a combination of these four reasons. So, you know, when all these four reasons are favoring why I should stay in the Tata Group, what is the reason for me to leave? There is no reason. I mean, I can leave on a whim and a fancy, but not for any logical reason.
Countless lessons for entrepreneurs to build organizations that make people want to stick to it. But we're very short on time, sir. So I'm going to ask you one last very
Sure.
quick question. You mentioned failures, and I think any conversation is incomplete without talking about them
Yeah.
because we only talk about successes. You've talked about how important it is to not put leaders on a pedestal. You've spoken about Jamsetji Tata, about Ratan Tata, but they've also made mistakes in their lives, which
That's
is
true.
a very important point to highlight. So using, let's say, Tata Finance as an example, can you tell us what happens behind these closed doors when such big failures happen?
Of course. And
How does a company like the Tata Group come out of these
yeah,
failures?
and failures are not new to the Tata Group. The Tata Group has had, I am a business historian of the Tata Group today. I have written books about the Tata Group. Jamsetji Tata, who is the subject of this book that you see in front of you, he built many successful businesses. Tata Steel, Tata Power, the Taj Group, or the Taj Hotels, Indian Institute of Science, which is an educational institution. But do you know that Jamsetji Tata also started a shipping line called the Tata Shipping Line, which failed? He had to shut down the shipping line. Tata Finance was a, you know, since you raised this question, Tata Finance is an excellent example of something which went wrong. And it's not very long in the past, right? It is 1999, 2000, about 20, 25 years back. What happened in Tata Finance was that Tata Finance was a company which took deposits from middle-class Indians like you and me, and then gave loans for people who wanted to buy vehicles or houses, etc.
And
what-
that was something that wasn't just an internal failure, fraud allegations.
Yes,
that
it was. And there were
back-
fraud allegations against Tata Finance. A letter reached Mr. Ratan Tata saying a fraud has been committed in Tata Finance. When an audit team was put on the job, they discovered that the top management of the company, including the then managing director, had used some of these funds to invest in some shares of dubious value. And there were even allegations that they had personally profited from it. And when those shares crashed, it left a huge hole in the balance sheet of the company, which at that time was about 500 odd crores. Now, I'm talking of 1999, 2000. 500 crores of that time is much larger now. So what did Mr. Ratan Tata do? The person who was the legal head of the Tata Group at that time has narrated this to me. He said, Mr. Ratan Tata had only two pieces of advice for us. One, he said, no depositor of Tata Finance should lose even 1 rupee of their money. And the Tata Group actually published an advertisement saying a fraud has been committed, but not a single depositor will lose even 1 rupee of their money. And The Tatas had limited legal liability. In a strictly legal sense, they were promoters of the company, they had limited legal liability. But Mr. Ratan Tata said, we will exceed that legal liability. And within a few days, through cash and through bank guarantees, he made sure that 600 crores of rupees were transferred to Tata Finance to take care of each depositor. Actually, this was the days before digital money came to India. Right. You know, these were all cash. We didn't have UPI and all the, Phone Pay and Paytm and Google Pay in those days. So I have been told by my colleagues who were in Tata Finance at that time that, you know, there could be a run somewhere in some small town. You know, people hear this news and come to. They actually kept a helicopter on standby to take this cash to smaller towns if required, to make sure that depositors got their money. Fortunately, they did not need to use the helicopter because people trusted in what the Tatas said, and very few people actually withdrew their money. I also had a 10,000 rupees fixed deposit in Tata Finance at that time. I kept it there. You know, once Mr. Ratan Tata said this, I was reassured that my money will be safe. The second thing that he said, Priyanshi, was equally important. Apparently, he told his legal head, don't worry who has committed the fraud. Don't worry how senior that person is. Don't worry where the trail leads to. You just make sure that the people who have committed that fraud are given due punishment under law. And none of them should be protected. They should not be brushed under the carpet. So in the years thereafter, Tata Group went to SEBI, they went to the police, filed the required cases, and whoever had committed that fraud, including the then managing director of the company, who was a very high-profile individual, they were pursued in courts of law, and eventually they were put into jail. So it was a very transparent reaction to a fraud which was committed. People don't expect a fraud in the Tata Group, but this happened. And it was a very transparent reaction on two fronts. We will protect our depositors, and those who committed the fraud should be put behind bars. We are not pushing this under the carpet. And Mr. Gopalakrishnan, who is the co-author of this book with me, I asked him about this incident, and this is what he told me. He said, Harish, organizations are made of human beings. When you have human beings running organizations, things can go wrong, and things will go wrong. But the character of an organization comes to the fore in how organizations respond when things go wrong. When things are going fine, when things are going all right, you'll be flying high. When things go wrong, and how you react to things going wrong is when your character is revealed. And that's one of the stories we have narrated in this book.
And it's truly fascinating to know that these are the principles at the heart of that one conglomerate that's possibly a part of every Indian's life, from Tata Salt to the Tanishq that people like me are wearing. Tata Group is one group of which almost every Indian is a customer in one way or another. So it's fascinating, sir, that these are the
Priyanshi, I think, you know, you say 700 million Indians are customers. But I think, you know, the legal ownership of the Tata brand is with Tata Sons and the Tata Group. But I think the emotional ownership of Tata is with every Indian. And we are very conscious of it in Tata. That this is a brand which actually represents the country outside, and therefore we should do our best, and that responsibility is there with us.
Thank you very much, sir. I think that's a fantastic note to end on. I want to ask you, though, just one rapid fire question. Your favorite Tata brand?
The first brand that I started marketing was with the tea company, so I will always say Tata Tea.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Thanks for being a lovely audience.